Let's start. Let us start with a prayer. Om Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Shaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiraye. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. So the past few days, we have been looking at various aspects, trying to give a coherent picture, a coherent flow. And as part of the coherent flow, all of us expect in our lives a coherent flow, coherence to whatever we do, our actions, our thought processes, our relationships, our work, our life in general, a coherent flow. Now there we look at role models. And some of the most powerful role models are provided by Rishi Narayana and Rishi Nara, who incarnated as Sri Krishna and some of the most Sri Arjuna. Role models are looking at their lives generally gives us insights, because we are dealing with principles, and principles might not be easy to grasp and apply. That's why generally we look at stories of the lives of great Mahatmas who have dedicated themselves to everybody's well-being. So this begs the question, if Sri Krishna is dedicated to everybody's well-being, is that not a karma phala in our attachment to the karma phala? He wants everybody's well-being and he attaches, he's attached to it. And that's why he's working so hard. So that's why, as we have looked at it, karma phala tyaga, or sacrifice of the karma phala, is more like a psychological stance, psychological attitude. For example, in the Ishavasya Upanishad, it's mentioned that all of this is pervaded by that Isha, that divine consciousness, that divine awareness. Now, all of the objects, everything is Isha. No. There is nothing but that divine consciousness. And hence it's clearly stated that you enjoy this existence without getting attached to anything, or without having the idea of possessiveness, that this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. Without that, one can go through one's own swadharma, enjoying everything as in a flow, one coherent flow. So being firm in one's swadharma is advised. At the same time, what is the psychological attitude to maintain? So generally we judge everything. We calculate, this is gain for me, this is loss for me. This is beneficial, this is not beneficial. This is good, this is bad. We keep on judging, calculating, and we are trapped in that mechanism. Apparently trapped. So is there a possibility to use it only for functional purposes, functional judgments? Otherwise, it is not required. And hence, awareness is not trapped in those conditionings. So we said, yogas chitta vritti nirodha. The vrittis are various conditionings that are beautifully explained. Now our awareness, the divine awareness, instead of flowing on and on, it gets trapped, it gets stagnant in these conditioned, if you can say, check dams. And hence, the critical thing is to understand what, the reason why that is happening. So that's why karma phala tyaga is in terms of, limited evaluation of gain, loss, not getting trapped in there, detaching a little, and allowing the flow to happen. Now, this is very functional. This helps in being firm in one's swadharma. Nowhere is it said that give up your swadharma. That is not said. What is said is give up your attachment to the fruits of your actions, which is more in terms of gain-loss evaluation. Because that is the whole trap that causes misery, that causes suffering. And hence, to understand this, we need practical role models. And that's where Rishi Nara Narayana actually show the path. There are great beings in the Mahabharata who show the path, who actually live lives that are great in every which way. And hence gives clarity. Otherwise, having clarity on these aspects is very tough. So that is very useful to remember. So that's the reason why we have looked at the flow. All of this Mahabharata is mentioned without judgment, harsh judgment. It's more mentioned in terms of juxtaposing one action against another, so that it's visible to any trained eye, any intelligent observer, that, oh, this is appropriate for me, this is not so appropriate for me. That is very useful to understand. So that's where we have been looking at the war. And Duryodhana, till the end, he still keeps on the fight. Bhishma is gone, Drona is gone, his close friend Karna is gone. It's tremendous loss. And war is, if at all anything, it's heartbreaking. Because one moment, that was your friend. Now, that's a dead body that you would just discard. You cannot be in that presence. One moment, that's your relative. The next moment, gone. And we cannot stand it. So what is it that leaves? That becomes a very deep question. A quest, in fact. In fact, Yudhishthira beautifully says earlier that the most amazing thing is all around people are dying, and still one believes that one will not die. Now, death is considered inauspicious, but for the spiritual, trained eye, death is something mysterious to probe into, to inquire into, which gives meaning to our existence right now. It happens with people who are diagnosed with cancer, I've heard, that they are told you'll be alive only for 3 months, 6 months, and so on. Once they get to know this, and they know for sure that modern medicine cannot solve their problem, some tremendous transformation comes over them. They start feeling, why should I keep on accumulating? What is it that I'm going to carry out with me? And hence they start sharing love, joy, happiness. They start looking at others' happiness, others' well-being. How can I be of service to others? In fact, the whole idea of this that you see, vibhuti or what is this called? Bhasma. In Tamil Nadu, for example, there's the tradition of people smearing ashes, and they are called Jnana Param. Jnana Param means knowledge fruit. In fact, when I was growing up as a child, I remember that my father, before going to school, my father would apply this vibhuti, and as soon as I step out, I would rub it off. Why? Because my peer group, they would tease me as param. Param means fruit. And if you go with a full, 3 lines and rudraksha in your throat, then that's all. They would be calling you parattilum param jnana param. That means fruit of fruit, knowledge fruit. And that is, extremely unbearable for a child. Now, because of certain realization, at a certain point, I applied this here, and there was a beautiful experience. Because the Agnya Chakra directly gets stimulated. So after that, I started understanding these things. Out of my own experience, when it's born, then it's not about someone else's approval that you seek, right? But at that age, school-going age, you are seeking the approval of people around you. You need peer acceptance. So these aspects are the best practices that we see through and through. That's where our Itihasa Puranas help us learn what to hold on to and how to actionate upon these principles. So Duryodhana, we can see everybody is gone, still he's adamant. And finally he escapes and he's resting underneath a lake. And everybody is searching for Duryodhana. Some hunters find out his whereabouts and inform his whereabouts to Bhima and Yudhishthira. So the Pandavas, along with Sri Krishna, come over searching for this. So there, Duryodhana is not able to bear the taunts, and he comes out. And even at that time, Yudhishthira, what he does is he offers Duryodhana a choice. Any of us brothers you choose, any weapon you choose, and if you win, the war is, the kingdom is yours. And Krishna is exceptionally angry at this. So even now, Yudhishthira has not gotten over this addiction to playing dice. He's gambling away all the effort of millions of people, just gambling it away in one instant. But thankfully for the Pandavas, Duryodhana chooses Bhima as the opponent because he does not consider anybody else worthy of a fight with him, and he chooses mace. So it's a Gada Yuddha. With Gada, the Yuddha starts. At that time, Balarama also joins him. He finishes his Tirtha Yatra and comes back. And by the lake Samanta Panchaka, where Parshurama in earlier times collected the blood of all the Kshatriyas because they had become extremely haughty, extremely high-handed. And that is considered a very holy place because of the blessings of Richika and other ancestors of Parashurama. So by the banks of that holy Samanta Panchaka, the war is announced. The battle is announced between Bhima and Duryodhana. Duryodhana, because of long years of practice, all the 13 years he has been practicing with the iron image of Bhima. And hence he is very skilled, very skillful maneuvers. Bhima is losing steam. He is strong. He is using his bala, but he is not using his skill because all these years he has not been practicing. And for a warrior, the daily schedule includes a major component of practice because they need to be fighting fit. Even during peace times, the armed forces do not give up their practice because they cannot afford to lose their guard. No. So there is no concept of even one day being missed. But Bhima, these 13 years, has not been in practice. So he's not like fighting fit, but still inherent strength. So anyhow, he fights, but he's almost like tottering. That's when through Arjuna, Krishna indicates the left thigh. Because when Draupadi was dragged into the Kuru Sabha, which is a ghastly episode, which is unimaginable even now. During that episode, imagine Draupadi is his own brother's wife, and he shows her his left thigh. Such is the nature of Duryodhana. And hence Bhima takes an oath that he will finish off Duryodhana and break his thigh for his act. And on top of that, Rishi Markandeya, he curses Duryodhana that his thigh will be broken and that's how his life will end. So the curse and the oath take effect. Sri Krishna asks Arjuna to remind Bhima of this. And Bhima is, the cue is passed on to Bhima and he breaks his thigh. Balarama is extremely angry at this. How can he do this? Because both are students of Balarama. But Sri Krishna again comes to the rescue of Bhima. Otherwise, Balarama would have finished him off. So he comes to the rescue. And now Duryodhana, the great king, after all, he's a Chakravarti, is lying in his own, with a broken thigh in his own pool of blood. He's lying, and the war is almost over. So the Pandavas return back to their camp, and Sri Krishna decides it's important to pay a visit to Dhritarashtra and Gandhari and console them, because the Pandavas have been responsible for all the 100 sons of Gandhari Devi being killed. So in order to seek forgiveness, Sri Krishna leads them along with Satyaki to Dhritarashtra's court, Hastinapura. The rest all of the Pandava camp, including the sons of Draupadi, Drishtadyumna, everybody takes rest. After the 18-day war, it's been phenomenal. So they need rest and they take rest in that camp. And the dying Duryodhana, Ashwathama, Kripacharya, and Kritavarma visit him. And Ashwathama already is boiling at the insult shown to his father, Guru Dronacharya. And seeing the great king lying like this with his thigh broken, which is definitely not fair. So it's not a fair competition. Seeing that, Ashwathama decides to take revenge on the sleeping warriors. So there Lord Shiva stands in guard, but there's Ashwathama is Shivamsha. So Krishna is Shiva's devotee. And hence finally Ashwathama gains access to the Pandava camp and he butchers the sleeping warriors including Drishtadyumna and Draupadi's sons. Morning, the Pandava camp is found completely shattered, cruelly killed. And Draupadi is not able to bear it. After all this, her sons are dead. And what else is there to live for a old woman, middle-aged woman? What else is there to live for? All her sons are dead. And everybody in the Pandava camp is dead. So at the end of this, Satyaki, Krishna and the Pancha Pandavas and Kritavarma, Ashwatthama and Kripa on the side of Kauravas. These are the major warriors left. Everyone else is dead. This is a huge thing. Very, very big calamity. But for this cruel act of Ashwatthama, Draupadi seeks revenge. How could he do so? So Bhima and Arjuna are in hot pursuit of Ashwatthama. And Arjuna catches up and Ashwatthama releases the Brahmashirastra. Releases. And Arjuna releases the Brahmastra. At that time, in the sky, before these astras meet, Narada Maharshi, Vyasa Maharshi, all the rishis appear and ask the warriors to pull back their weapons, retrieve their weapons. Because once it meets, it will destroy the whole world. These are such powerful weapons. Arjuna revokes the weapon. But Ashwatthama, because of his cruel-mindedness, he has fallen and he is not able to revoke the weapon. It is directed against the Pandavas. The Pandavas are saved, but it affects the future Pandava lineage. Parikshit, who is in the womb of Uttara. Uttara was married to Abhimanyu. He is hit. That's when Sri Krishna miraculously saves Parikshit. So the Pandava lineage continues.
In fact, this thing, it strikes me that, when the Bhopal gas tragedy happened, such leakages happen. Actually, the fetuses, the children in the womb are affected. And then the next generations, even during the Hiroshima, Nagasaki bombings, so they are born deformities, or so many stillbirths were recorded after the Bhopal tragedy.
And it continues to this day.
To this day, exactly. No. So you can imagine that this weapon, impacting the fetuses of all the Pandava women, it's such a powerful.
Powerful. So Ashwatthama is further cursed by Sri Krishna. Ashwatthama is a Chiranjeevi. Chiranjeevi is a concept by when one lives for a kalpa. We have seen what a kalpa is. So Ashwatthama is cursed that he would roam the earth completely destitute and in great agony, in great misery, with no relationships. And that is, what to do, completely cheerless. That's a very, very difficult state. But that's his curse. That is Ashwatthama's curse. So at the end of the war is over. It's huge calamity. Almost everybody is gone. And we see in these three parva, all the women go on to the war field. And they see vultures, hyenas, dogs, everything, pulling the carcasses, the dead bodies. It's a ghastly sight. And They are trying to piece, is this my son's head? Is this my husband's head? Is this my husband's limb? Oh, they were so beautiful and handsome to look at. Now, what has happened? Such is the cry of all the women. Seeing this, Gandhari is tremendously moved and she curses Krishna that what has happened to my Kula will happen to you. You will all perish. Sri Krishna accepts the curse. But he rebukes her, stating, you could have stopped this war. Why are you blaming me? If only you had convinced your son, Duryodhana. Duryodhana was your son. You should have stopped the war. How could you blame me for it? Still, the curse is accepted. And in due time, it would take effect. That Sri Krishna knows. And there, Dhritarashtra asked Yudhishthira, how many, what is the casualty of war? And that's where Yudhishthira reveals 1,660,000,000 and 20,000 warriors, have been killed. And 2,40,000 and 160 warriors are alive. The major warriors that are alive, we have already seen. These are the lay warriors. And further, Dhritarashtra inquires what happened to the warriors after they left their bodies. So Yudhishthira reveals that those who ran away from war in fear and were hit in the back and left their bodies, they went to Guhyaka Loka or Kubera's Loka. Those warriors that were cheerless, they fought without cheer, without applying themselves fully, without focus. Those warriors, when they were killed, they went to Gandharva Loka. So doing one's own job cheerfully is considered very, very critical. So those who did not show any, that cheerful spirit, that force of application, went to Gandharva Loka. Those warriors who fought valiantly and cheerfully, fully focused, fully loyal to their leader, they, on being killed, went to Devaloka, Indra's Loka. And those warriors, even though they lost all their weapons, and still they did not move from their ground, who fought with such courage, showing no fear, they, on being killed, went to Brahmaloka. So this is what is revealed by Yudhishthira, and it's very marvelous to see that everyone has achieved to a Sadgati, an improved status on leaving the instrument. The instrument lays dead in the Bhuloka, but everybody has attained to a better Gati, better status after leaving the instrument back, instrument of the body behind. So this is revealed, and this is very marvelous to everyone who hears it. So Yudhishthira is now king, is successful, is victorious, but you can see, what is this victory? Is it even worth it? What is the victory when there is nobody to celebrate it? All your kith and kin are gone. You're alone. Then why occupy the throne? And when Yudhishthira hears that Karna is his own brother, elder brother, he completely breaks down. Now he has no interest in even the kingdom, because he has been the, he has been responsible for his own, he's almost like a father. Karna is like a father, elder brother. He has been responsible for his father's death. That's how he feels. And hence, he actually wishes to give up the kingdom and go to the forest. He wants to sacrifice everything, take up sannyasa. But then Shri Krishna, Vyasa Maharishi, everyone advises him And that's when Sri Krishna asks Yudhishthira to seek the counsel of Bhishma. Sri Krishna grants boons to Bhishma, and through which Bhishma is relieved of pain and he is able to give his vast wisdom, which is the Shanti Parva, to Yudhishthira. You'll see it's so deep, so subtle. The wisdom of Bhishma is vast. And Sri Krishna wants the world to remember Bhishma. So Bhishma says, Sri Krishna tells Sri Krishna, there is nothing that you do not know. Why do you ask this, me to reveal it? For which Sri Krishna says, your name should, your glory should spread in the world. And hence, the Bhishma Niti is glorious. It gives so much clarity. And finally, after the Niti, it's time for Bhishma to leave. Uttarayana is there, and Bhishma leaves his body. It's been a glorious life for Bhishma. From the time of Vasishta's curse, it's been a long and glorious life. And Bhishma leaves without regret. He has lived a full life. A full life leaves no regrets. There is nothing to desire, nothing further to desire or act upon. Everything is fulfilled. For Bhishma, everything is fulfilled. And he leaves. He's a Vasu, after all, a divine being incarnated in human form. So now Yudhishthira gains conviction that again order has to be restored in the world, for which Vyasa Maharshi advises him to conduct a Ashwamedha Yajna. Because a Yajna will again, move the economic engine. Because for the purpose of Yajna, you will have to collect resources and again redistribute them. So it is a economy, if there is no flow, if it stagnates, then that is the doom of economy. So the Yajna is a process by which everything starts moving. New life, fresh life is infused into dharma, artha, kama. And that pursuit becomes moksha-karak. So fresh life is infused by Yudhishthira's decision to conduct the Ashwamedha Yajna. So in Ashrama Vasika Parva, Dhritarashtra finally decides to leave to the forest, and along with Gandhari, Ma Kunti also leaves. And this is heartbreaking for the Pandavas, because after all this while, only now Ma Kunti can actually enjoy. But then, she does not see any point in it. And she also chooses to leave along with Gandhari Devi. And that is really heartbreaking for the Pandavas. But then they go to the Vana. They start leading a very austere life. Such great royal personages go to the Vana and give up everything and live very, very simple lives. Very austere life. It's austere penance. And Vidura also leaves along with them. After some time has passed, Yudhishthira's rule is very just. It's very good. After some time has passed, Yudhishthira decides to pay a visit to his parents. Dhritarashtra is, after all, his father, Pandu's brother, and hence his father. So he plans to pay a visit. He visits them there. And there, Vyasa Maharshi announces his intention to, commit a miracle. So the next day when they appear, he makes all the fallen warriors arise from the waters of Maganga. That's a glorious miracle. He has such tapobala that he does this, and he gives an option where anybody who wishes to can join their husbands, parents in the other loka. So many people choose to leave their physical bodies and join their kith and kin to go to other lokas. So such is the miracle performed by Vyasa Maharshi. And in due time, there is a fire, and Dhritarashtra, Gandhari Devi, and Kunti Devi, all of them lose their bodies. And before then, Vidura combines his strength, his tapasya, with Yudhishthira. And Yudhishthira has a new level of clarity. When Vidura enters, yokes his Sukshma Sharira with Yudhishthira. Because after all, both are emanations of the same principle of Yamadharma Raja. And hence, Vidura yokes his subtle body into Yudhishthira. And Yudhishthira has newfound clarity, newfound peace. And his rule of 36 years is very stabilizing. In the meantime, Krishna and his clans have been doing stably well. But then Satyaki participated in the war along with Pandavas, and Kritavarma participated in the war along with Kauravas. This fosters into a major duel with everybody taking sides, and there is a major civil war that breaks out in the Yadava clans. And hence, even Sri Krishna participates in the war, and everybody is slain. So just as Gandhari cursed, and plus they have also earned the curse of rishis. When the rishis visit, Narada Maharshi and other rishis visit, Sambha, one of the sons of Sri Krishna, he dresses up as a woman and asks blessings from the rishis, for which they are cursed that an iron club will emerge, which will be the doom of all of them. And that's how it happens. These are weapons that come, and everyone picks up those weapons, and there's a fight unto death. Arjuna is invited through a dream, and he rushes to the spot. Krishna leaves his body with a hunter taking aim at a deer, mistaking Krishna's foot for the deer. And Krishna leaves his body. And there's no regret, right? The purpose for which he was born is complete. There is no reason to tarry any longer, to delay any longer. So he leaves the body. Balarama leaves the body. He exits the body as a snake and goes into the ocean. He is, after all, an incarnation of Anantasesha. So he leaves his body. And Arjuna is instructed to go to Dwaraka. And there, Vasudeva also leaves his body. Sri Krishna's father. He was a great man, and he leaves his body. All the women, children, everyone is taken out of Dwaraka, and Dwaraka is engulfed in a flood, and it goes down. Dwarka, off the coast of Gujarat, the modern day Gujarat. Dwarka was reclaimed from the ocean by Sri Krishna when he set up the city, being harassed by Jarasandha. He shifted 1 crore of his people from Mathura to Dwarka. If you know the modern day distance, it's huge. So he transported all of the people to Dwarka. And there he reclaimed in such a manner that the city of Dwaraka was supposed to be 12 yojanas by 12 yojanas. We have seen 12 yojanas by 3 yojanas as the city of Ayodhya. Dwaraka is much more fascinating. 12 yojanas by 12 yojanas. So you can imagine about 22,000 square kilometers. That's the city of Dwaraka. And the whole city goes down under into the ocean. And Arjuna is supposed to protect them, but he sees that actually his energy, his power has left him. So he's no longer able to protect. Such a great warrior who single-handedly could exterminate all the warriors during the Mahabharata war. Such a great warrior is not able to protect women and children and old people. The remaining few reach Hastinapura and Indraprastha. And there the Pandavas decide it's time for them to leave, never to return back, because their time has come. All the signs point in that direction. So Yudhishthira takes a decision to leave. That's the Mahaprasthanika Parva. So Parikshita is made the Raja and they leave without ever turning back. And in Swarga Arohana Parva, they climb to heaven, Swarga Arohana. And Draupadi Devi falls. And her fault is that she was partial to Arjuna. Then Sahadeva falls. Sahadeva had pride in his own wisdom. Nakula falls because he had pride in his beauty. Arjuna falls because he had pride in his skill. Bhima finally falls. And the reason being he had pride in his strength. And Yudhishthira reaches the doors of heaven, Swarga. And there is a dog that has accompanied them on this journey. So the dog is not allowed into heaven, for which Yudhishthira is willing to give up the possibility of him entering heaven if the dog is not allowed, because the dog has been faithful. And as per Kshatriya Dharma, he is not willing to give up his Dharma even at the last moment. As per Kshatriya, Kshatra means to protect. So someone who has been loyal to him, how can he not protect? That is his Dharma. Seeing this, the dog reveals itself to be Yamadharma Raja, the father of Yudhishthira. And he blesses, and the doors of heaven open. And there, initially he sees there's hellish conditions. And he hears familiar voices of his brothers and Draupadi, and he is shocked. And in heaven, Devaloka, he sees Duryodhana sitting next to Indra, and he is shocked because he's gone in his body. So he remembers all of these episodes. So he's shocked to find this. While, a certain episode happens during the war where Arjuna is completely at loss when he loses Abhimanyu. So he begs of Sri Krishna, and Sri Krishna leads him to Chandraloka. There they enter the Sabha of Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu is a great person there. He is seated on his throne, and Arjuna approaches him very affectionately, for which Abhimanyu is a little cold in response. He says, which father of which lifetime? Because the human frame of reference is very limited. Once one exits, it's a very different frame of reference.
Especially if you're not the kind who holds on to the...
Yeah, especially if you're the kind who are detached and you have come specifically on a mission. So Abhimanyu, the design of Abhimanyu, Chandra allowed him to go to earth to participate in this Yajna Karma, stating very clearly that he should return back as soon as possible. So, the grant of leave of absence was very limited. So that's why it's designed that, in 16 years of age, Abhimanyu faces its end. So he has had a glorious life on earth, but it's time for him to return back to Chandraloka.
This brings a bit of relief because we were all very sad about Abhimanyu's
Yes.
death yesterday.
Yes. So that's where Yudhishthira is not ready to give up his thoughts of the Bhuloka, though he's in Swargaloka. And he's willing to stay back with his own brothers and Draupadi. And that's when it's transformed into Swarga. And it's revealed to him that those who have a little punya and a lot of papa and punya are misalignment and alignment with dharma. So alignment with dharma, or the underlying principles of how things are, that is punya. Misalignment with the underlying principles is called papa. For example, if the body it works a certain way, you have food that does not align with the system, it is papa. And it'll range for a specific time period. Likewise, punya will also range for a certain time period. So you have benefit as well as fault attached to it. Okay. So at the end of it, that's how it explains that one leaves the body back, but what is it that one takes forward? That is very critical to invest in while being embodied. If one does not invest in that, then it's only ignorance that follows, and that is hellish. So dharma, the person who has done dharma, it follows with him, and that's shown clearly in Yudhishthira's case. At the end, Vyasa Maharishi clearly states, those who protect dharma, live by dharma, are in turn protected by dharma. Dharmo rakshati rakshita. So, thus ends the great Mahabharata or Jaya. And you can see it evokes all kinds of emotions. The Indian tradition is not against all the Navarasas.
So
all of life is considered rasatmika. So Navarasas, generally in the modern sense, we are overly attached to just one rasa. We call that emotional pleasantness. Sweetness, right? So just now we had the beginning of the New Year, Chitrai, beginning of the New Year. And as part of New Year experience, here the tradition is, first thing in the morning, you'll be shown, your eyes will be closed and you'll be led to a mirror to show the divinity. Such a beautiful tradition. So you look at yourself. When you look at yourself in the mirror, what should you see? That is very critical. You can see the divine. You can choose to see anything. The mirror of life, you can choose to see anything. And for that, we need appropriate knowledge to choose wisely. Right. And that is the idea of dharma. So the Navarasas, there is a beautiful tradition, custom, where the first day of the year, you are provided with all the rasas. These are Shad rasas, all the 6 tastes: bitter, sweet, salty, sour, karam, spicy,
pungent,
astringent, all of these. That is to show that all rasas are welcome and they provide a balance in life. If it's just sweet, it's no longer balanced. It becomes imbalanced. Likewise, the Navarasas are considered acceptable. But it's a flow, and one flows on and works towards dharma. No? So
in fact, we would have seen that, what started as, just fight among children in terms of small
Yes.
jealousies, pulling
and-
each other's leg, making fun of each other, then mounts to a serious conflict in the youth stage, right? And then it becomes even more serious as we proceed, even resulting in fact, killing of each
Yes.
other.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
when we look at towards the end, even we start feeling, what's the whole point?
What's the whole point?
Just as
Exactly.
the way Yudhishthira and the others feel. What's the whole point? Now nobody is alive. What are
Exactly.
you going to celebrate now? That is precisely what Arjuna was trying to tell in the Vishada Yoga, the
Yes.
first chapter.
Yes.
After all this is over, what's the whole point? For whom am I going to live for? Right?
So it makes one extremely introspective. So that one chooses to live for others. One chooses to live for, love, service, compassion to our own family members, to other living beings, to others in society. That is the basis of life, and that is worth living for.
And that is why I think time and again we are reminded when we read the Mahabharata is not to have that kind of a bitterness, which can take us to an extreme.
Extremes.
Because at the end, what is the whole point?
What is the whole point?
Right.
That provides the, framework or a basis for love, compassion, kindness, ahimsa, all living beings.
And in spite of all the magic that is happening there or miracles that happen there is no rewind button.
Exactly.
There is no way you can go back and correct things what you did.
We just have to move forward. But that's where learnings of the past becomes very useful to go forward. So Swami Vivekananda beautifully said, those who bring, to people their own past histories, itihasas, puranas, they do great service. Because with the deeper you are able to look into the past, the farther you are able to project into the future, in terms of consequences, and clearly avoid consequences that are not beneficial to anybody. Right? So, with this, we come to an end of the 18 parvas. But you would have seen in the past, I think 9 days. So 9 days, entire yuga, it would have seemed like a yuga. So much we have gone through vicariously. And if you reflect back, we saw how listening to the Mahabharata can be extremely, it can lead to antakarana shuddhi. If you introspect and reflect back, you would definitely see that happen. So that is the power of itihas. Should we end with a prayer?
If they have something to share,
yeah.
I've unmuted the mics.
Okay.
So if you wish to share something or
all the while we have been speaking.
So in fact, Vidyaji has been asking me about the education system. I'll definitely share a presentation that I had something in mind, but just 1 or 2 lines about what we wanted to share was that there is this beautiful book called The Beautiful Tree by Dharampal ji. So Professor Dharampal. It's a must read. It talks about how the Indian education system was amazingly designed. And it also tracks, it is actually the collection of what the Britishers had recorded. They had gone to different places and made the recordings. And then that was available in the British Library, which Professor Dharampal happened to access, and then he's given it to us. So
it's a research work.
It's a research work.
It's not light reading. It's all like statistics and
data. So there you can see that in Bengal province alone, there were more than 1 lakh schools. And literacy was like prevalent like anything. It's not like today where we are fighting to or struggling to pass a few students. It was never that way. because women had access to education of a different kind. And then many people who talk about discrimination in the education system, if you read Dharampal Ji's work, you will find that people of all religions and communities and castes were actually part of the education system. Women were part of the educational system. So it was quite holistic that way. And if you look at the subjects, you had Mahabharata, Ramayana, you had the Vedic sciences, and everything.
See, actually,
was
now in our school system, if you look at it, the core training is on mathematics, language. Then you have the sciences and social sciences. Okay, these four, what we call the STEM or the STEAM education. Similarly, if we look at the pre-British times, the Britishers, what they have recorded, is very interesting to observe. So you have mathematics in terms of Jyotish Shastra. Jyotish Shastra is actually applied mathematics. So you have regular mathematics, arithmetic, and so on, Ganita and Jyotish Shastra. So Jyotish Shastra is spherical astronomy, which is like complex mathematics. Okay. Then you have Bhasha, which is language. Okay. Need not be English. In fact, English, if we just were to compare the structure of English with, let's say, any Indian language, let's say Sanskrit. We talk of Veda, comes from the root word vid. So vid means to know. Vidya means education. Vidyalaya means an alaya of Vidya. Vidyapita means a seat of Vidya. Vidyarthi means one whose artha, wealth, is Vidya. Vidwan means one who's an expert at that knowledge, and so on. So you can derive from root words. Imagine the equivalent English words. It's student, university, school, college, expert. See, these all you will have to just memorize.
So the cognitive distance is quite...
Cognitive distance amongst words is very huge. But here in Indian language, the cognitive distance is minimal, and hence it's very, very powerful. And even if we look at phonetics, Shiksha, so Vedangas were basically Shiksha, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Chandas, and Jyotisha and Kalpa. So if we look at Shiksha, phonetics, there is a classic example, I think, of Bertrand Russell, but I will have to verify. So it goes like this, or maybe not Bertrand Russell, another philosopher, English philosopher. So he asks us to pronounce Ghoti. Okay, this is a very classic example.
George Bernard Shaw.
George Bernard Shaw. So Bernard Shaw. So Ghoti. How would you pronounce this? Can anybody try?
Okay, I'm trying. Goti.
Goti. No, it's fish.
Fish, right.
Why is it fish? Rough, R-O-U-G-H, if. Okay. Women, W-O-V. And nation, T-I, nation. So fish. Right. No, this I am not saying. George Bernard Shaw is very famous for this. Okay. So, but there is no such thing in Indian languages. Indian languages, you will have a one-on-one correspondence between the written word and the written, lipi, that is the script, and the sound. So that's why you can have multiple lipis, but still retain the sound. So the oral tradition is very powerful. So later on, you have the written tradition. So in Sanskrit, for example, you can have Devanagari script, you can have Brahmi script, you can have any script.
Pali.
Yeah, all that is required is one-on-one correspondence with the sound. That's all is required. So you can even replace it with 1, 2, 3, 4, any lipi, anything at all. Just that you need to maintain one-on-one correspondence. Okay. So it's such beautiful design of the language, the structure of the language. So language, math, social sciences were covered by Ramayana, Mahabharata, and local history. So basically, you're not missing out on anything in ancient Indian education system. And on top of that, the beauty of the system is not everyone goes to Gurukula. Gurukula is for high-end Vedic knowledge. So Vedic is more like higher education. Not everyone needs to go through higher education. So the basic education includes STEM, science, maybe not technology, but technology in terms of vocation maybe. Yeah. Vocational skills would be covered by the family. But a common education would be now what we call as universal education does not include values. For example, if we study social science, it does not train our value system. We do not know what is dharma, what is adharma. For example, an engineer who might be expert at his profession need not be a good human being, right? That's the tragedy of the current education system. We don't train people on values. While listening to Ramayana or Mahabharata, you'll be trained on values because those will be the role models. So you can see the social sciences that we have now do not focus on dharma or adharma. They do not focus on the signs of society. They are vague at best or just information oriented. They don't focus on the value systems that will guide. So that is the universal basic education that was available in ancient India.
So
Compare it with now.
So in fact, if you see that the education system at that time, as the way Dharampalji records, he says that houses thinnai or outside would become a school, or there will be a community supported school, just even could be underneath a tree or a hut or whatever it is. So hence, education was accessible to everybody.
Everybody.
But once the Britishers came, they insisted that only if there is a certain infrastructure, then they would be given accreditation or recognized as a school.
Yeah.
So, and how would the infrastructure come? Only when students pay a fee and then they are able to develop an infrastructure. So this resulted in a lot of inequity and a lot of people were left out of the educational process.
And even now it continues. Even now, to access education, you need money.
Correct.
Why should I need money to access education?
Yeah.
That's a case in point. Why should I need the money to access healthcare? Why should I need money to access food? So in fact, there is a beautiful episode of Swami Dayananda Saraswati. He reveals he was from near Mayavaram, near Tanjavur in Tamil Nadu. So he's famous for establishing the Arsha Vidya Gurukulam. So he reveals the episode from his early life where one of the village girls was betrothed to a city boy. But the village elders called it off later on, saying that the city boy
was selling
food, cooked food. He was running a restaurant business in Mayavaram. So in the village, they called off the marriage on knowing that he was selling food and making money. So this is not very ancient. This is post-independence, I think. So that reveals the best practices that have been guiding us. So education was not sold. Guru Dakshina is a very different concept. And not everyone needed to access a Gurukula. So Guru Dakshina would be in commensurate terms. And at the end of 12 years, boarding, lodging, everything is taken care of. At the end of it, anything that you can afford is Guru Dakshina.
Even now, I've heard a lot of ashrams that run free schools.
Free schools.
And what happens is the alumni actually support these free schools.
Wow.
I feel that's a great model where at least the students, they don't have to pay. Either once they go back, earn some money, they give back to the school. Or if they earn a lot of money, they can actually support the other students in the school. I think that's one of the things that really we can look at as models even in this stage.
So someone has asked, does it mean that during Mughal period our education system was very good? Yes, it was still reasonable.
Yes.
But the Mughals did a lot of damage, but still reasonable. It was not as problematic as the policies of the Britishers. The Britishers really, in Gandhiji's words, the Britishers dug up this beautiful tree of Indian education and left exposed the roots for the beautiful tree to wither. So that's how beautifully he puts it, Gandhiji. And that's very poignant. It's very useful to reason out about it.
And somebody is asked if someone is working on the value education for this India right now. In fact, both of us, are part of the NCRT Value Education Panel.
Yeah, so, by MHRD.
MHRD. So since 2017, we've been part of the panel. We've worked out on certain things, but however, it's yet to come out, predominantly in schools. But of course, we have noticed that there are a lot of issues in terms of what kind of values to impart. It should be secular, taking into account all the communities and religions.
Yes.
So what happens is it's very rare. At least we found that including something like the Mahabharata or Ramayana definitely is going to be difficult, at least in the short run.
Right.
But of course, there will be some freedom to different schools to include these contents under the value education framework. That much openness it's going to be.
Yeah, that's where individual school administrators definitely can take initiative to include these as extra,
correct.
Aspects.
Like for example, we have designed one Indic Sciences course, which is a 20-hour module for school children. So any school that wants to adopt it, they can actually take it and then run it as a small club at the end, on a Saturday or on some days they can do.
So yeah, so that shows the system.
Yeah.
Similarly, the healthcare system and what can be said, the food system, the food network.
Food security. Basically.
Food security. See, for example, it's mentioned in Bhishma Niti that who is the appropriate patra for dana. Patra means a receiver of dana. So he mentions it very clearly that Shudras earn money, so they cannot receive dana because Shudras are skilled and unskilled workers. So they earn and hence they cannot receive dana. Vaishyas earn and hence they cannot receive dana. Kshatriyas earn and hence they cannot receive dana. Those Brahmanas who are employed cannot receive dana. Only those Brahmanas who are dedicated to knowledge alone can receive dana. This is what is mentioned, okay? It's very a deep point. And he further makes a point that orphans, widows, uncared for old people, handicapped people, and deceased people, all of these have to be taken care of by the state. It is the king's responsibility to take care of them. So in this kind of a setup, you have nobody left out of the system. So everybody has access to food, healthcare, and if need be, knowledge. Knowledge is based on qualification. But these are considered basic for any human being. Because imagine you visit Earth, you take up a human body. Why should you suffer? Why should there be misery? Why should there be inequality? But you should be able to lead a fulfilled existence. So that is considered very critical. So whatever it takes to lead a fulfilled existence, how do we achieve that? That's a just system. And there you need diversity because each person's desire for coming to the earth would be different. What satisfies one might not satisfy someone else. Okay. So I think we can end here. So it's been really wonderful meeting you all. And we are grateful to you. It's always, we learn so much listening to the Mahabharata. So it is not we teaching or sharing this knowledge with you, but we are also participants, equal participants in this knowledge and explorers, Jnana Yajna, in this Jnana Yajna. So thank you all for the opportunity. And please do stay in touch. You are welcome to the ashram anytime. This is your place. Consider this your place. It's a very simple setup. And we are also simple people.
And, we are starting the next batch on May 6th. So please do spread the word among your friends. And we've designed it in such a way that it will be on alternate days.
Yeah, so in that one of the differences would be in terms of, it's alternate days because we wanted some components of introspection to go in. So there would be passages to study and reflect upon in the intervening days. Yes. So that's how we have designed the next session. And we also plan to hold special topics of the Mahabharata in the future, which would be like 3 hours long or 6 hours long and so on, or spread over a couple of days. So those would go into depth on any specific topic like Arthashastra or Niti Shastra or Dharma Shastra or war, defense strategies, diplomacy, foreign diplomacy, and so on. Specific special topics. So that would be very useful to relate it with the current times. For example, the education system, which is a special topic. We've just broadly mentioned it. To go into the details, it's beyond the scope of this this program. So we have not touched too much upon it, but you can see that there can be so much that can be elaborated. Even healthcare, how were the warriors taken care of? No. So healthcare.
Because it is said that whenever there is a pandemic, a group of Ayurvedic Vaidyas used to carry with them these vaccinations and go from village to village. They will actually spread, they will spread across, and then each team will go from village to village, and then they will, this inoculation or administration will happen on the this thing. So they will carry that vaccination and then do it.
So it's not new.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah. So many of this we assume it's new, and hence the problem. Okay. So thank you all. Namaste.
I'll email you some details about further courses and also how we can stay in touch. So that is something that I will do post the course. And please do inform others about the upcoming program. And please do participate in tomorrow's program. It's a very important this thing, because many of us have a question: did the Mahabharata really happen? What are the proofs? What are the different sciences that we can use to support that? So Nilesh ji will be touching upon those topics. So please do participate in that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything for Ramayana also?
Well,
and there are many questions that we couldn't answer. Yes.
Please bear with us.
Yeah. So whenever possible, we'll.
Do you have any course for Ramayana also?
Pardon?
Do you have any course for Ramayana also?
Ramayana we will launch a little later because now we are also focusing on yoga. There's a program on yoga coming up. The science and the practice of yoga, of designing your well-being. So that will focus on cognitive sciences, neurosciences, epigenetics, physiology from multiple angles, and also Vata, Pitta, Kapha, how to balance it through practices. So it will not just be asana, pranayama practice, but how to design your well-being. So like that, so Ramayana will be coming up a little later.
Ramayana and Yoga Vasishta both are amazing. It's a extremely good combination to
very
go
good
through.
combination to
can
go
be very transforming.
Yeah. So we will definitely plan for it. We have it in mind. Thanks for asking. But immediately, it's a little difficult to do that. So sometime in the future, we will be planning. We will end with a prayer.
Om Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Thank you all. Namaste.